Hey folks, thank you for tuning in into Royal Tiger Imports, RT-Imports. I'm Uli, this is Shaw. And folks, you know, we have on June 6th the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings in Normandy coming up, and we thought we're gonna have a little historical sale here in order to commemorate the event and also, you know, kind of mourn the lives of all sides lost 80 years ago, which was a horrible massacre on all sides. But anyways, you know, the event changed history, and we thought we'd give a little tribute to this with our rifles here. Let's start out with the American Garand, or the M1 Carbine, then the British Enfields, and then we have a bunch of various Mausers here. You know, we have the German sniper Mausers, we have the DOT or DOU Mausers, World War II. We have some interesting Yugo Mausers, which were basically reworked in Yugoslavia, and they got the crown on them. They are the Yugo crest. And what's very interesting is here, it's a TGF 1950 rifle, which was basically made in at Brno. And TGF stands for Tschechische Gewehrfabrik, translated Czech Rifle Factory. And you know, this one, Shaw can tell you a little bit more about it in a bit, but really that's an interesting part of historical firearms here. And again, we wanted to have this little video here, show you the guns, what we offer, and also you know, so celebrate or commemorate, what's the right word? Commemorate the event 80 years ago. So Shaw, why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure. Well, as Uli mentioned, we've got a nice selection of firearms here. Of course, this is not all the models that we are going to have on sale. We've got some other different ones that would have participated in D-Day. But of course, the main ones being our Garands. Of course, this is a refurbished one. The vast majority of what we offer currently are the refurbished ones. Of course, having the nice Criterion barrels. This particular one is a 900,000 serial number, so that would have been during World War II manufacture, of course, Springfield. And then we've got some individual listing number 4 Mark I Enfields, as well as some number 1 Mark IIIs. And then these particular rifles closest to us just came in fairly recently. Of course, we've got the snipers with all appropriate original markings, as well as these have new barrels. So these shoot fantastic. It's a like new bore because it's a brand new barrel. And then we've of course got the Yugo refurb, same situation where it has been rebarreled, but again, great finish. The stock has been redone. It turned out beautiful. It's going to be a great shooter. And last but not least, the TGF 1950. This one is pretty special because before we set this off for refurbishment, this was a already all numbers matching gun. Original, it's not renumbered. This is as is, except for just overall finish and the wood quality, but same original stock and same numbering. So this is really quite special. We only got in a handful of these TGF code Mausers originally, so we're glad to offer this in basically pristine condition.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for the detailed explanation. I guess you will go around, right, and show the folks the details of these guns as usual. But anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. God bless, and God bless America.
All right, folks, let's take a closer look at these rifles. Let's start with the M1 Carbine here. This one is in its original condition. It's not refurbished. You can see that this has that zinc phosphate finish to it that gives it a little more of a greenish gray color. It has a earlier style slimmer stock, which would be appropriate for World War II, but with some later features. So this one has been either built originally or likely retrofitted with the third type of barrel band with a bayonet lug. And then it has a 2 rivet on each side, 4 rivet total upper handguard. These are some features of either later war or post-World War II, aka Korean War era carbines. The World War II M1 carbines, when first originally introduced, had some early features such as no bayonet lug, a non-fine adjustable rear sight. So this one is the latest third type of a stamped rear sight. The very first one, as some of you may know, was a what's called a L flip sight style rear sight. It's quite interesting because it was basically just a 2-position, 2-range setting rear sight. Quite easy to use, nice open rear aperture. Great first design. Moving on, we've got our number 4 Mark I Enfield. You can see this one actually has been updated to a number 4 Mark II, as evidenced by this screw situated in the rear of the forearm. That was part of the Mark II update. There are some trigger component changes associated with the Mark II, but overall, aesthetically speaking, it's extremely similar to the number 4 Mark I. If you see them from a distance, they look nearly identical, and we do have both models available. And we also have some from the American and Canadian manufacturers. You can see this one has the black Suncarite paint. So this was a enamel paint over a parkerized finish. It's a very durable finish, and you'll see this on some other rifles, such as some of the SAFNs, the Belgian SAFN 49 rifles, and some other models, especially the number 5 Jungle Carbine. Moving on, we have our M1 Garand. This is, of course, a restored one, and this one features a earlier style milled trigger guard, as evidenced by this ring in the very rear of the trigger guard, milled in. And as mentioned earlier, this is a 900,000 serial number, but realistically almost 1 million. This would still be a World War II dated rifle sometime mid-war. Moving on, we have a Yugoslavian refurbished K98 Mauser. So as you can see, if we start with the markings on the left side of the receiver, the left marking here was put on post-World War II by the Yugoslavians when they overhauled these rifles, and the Mod 98 marking is original from German World War II production. And they did use quite a variety of parts on these. You'll see them with cupped butt plates of both mid and late war style. You'll see them with flat butt plates like this one has. And the most noticeable feature when you pick one of these up is the Yugoslavian torch crest restamped over a scrubbed receiver. So any original World War II markings, generally speaking, are removed from these rifles by the Yugoslavians, and then they basically retrofit whatever parts are functional onto these rifles and reassemble them. They did not take any particular care for matching the rifles or any sort of high detail like the early pre-war and early war K98s made by Germany, but nonetheless they're 100% functional, and the parts tolerancing is so good that, generally speaking, as long as they were appropriately gauged, they are 100% functional. And of course, this one has a brand new Criterion barrel, along with many of the other Mausers here. Moving on, of course, this is a true World War II German Mauser with its appropriate markings. This one is a DOU 43 code, so this would have been made in one of the occupied Czech factories. Has our milled trigger guard and base plate. And you can see this also has appropriate Army markings as well as Waffen proofs. Moving on to the snipers, the first one we have here, you can see this is the turret style. And let's get a closer look at the markings. You can see this one does have a little bit of surface corrosion from before when it was refinished. And you can see the barrel on this one has been numbers matched to the original receiver. It's a brand new replacement barrel, same twist rate, same profile. It's basically an exact copy of the original, but much better than the original barrel that was in it. Moving on, we have another sniper rifle here. You can see this one features the early H-style barrel band. And same situation for the scope. This is a turret style scope. It is a more or less quick detach system with a lever, as you can see, located on the left rear mount, left side of the rear mount. This is able to be fairly quickly removed and put away in a storage case. They would have issued out an original ZF-39 storage case earlier during the war. And again, appropriate markings on the stock. And finally, the TGF 1950. So this again would have been a post-World War II manufactured K98 at the Czech rifle factory, as evidenced by this code. And what's interesting is that this is one of the extremely few post-World War II Mausers based on a 98 receiver that used a code almost exactly like the World War II German codes. So you can see it's got our 3-letter arsenal manufacturer, and then we have a 1950 date on the rifle. And pretty much every single one of these that we have seen, and from what I'm aware of at least, are all 1950 marks. So generally speaking, we have not seen a 1951 or any other year, just that one year. But again, that's what we have seen so far, so others may have other examples. And you can see also this uses a non-laminate stock, which is quite interesting. A solid wood walnut stock with the latest variety of the butt plate, the cupped butt plate with the hole drilled near the bottom for bolt disassembly. And again, what's really interesting about this particular one is that this was all matching when it was received out of Ethiopia. So it has a new barrel, but otherwise all matching components. The barrel was extremely worn out on this one, and then we refinished it, and it turns out beautiful. Thank you very much for watching. God bless.